Hello, my name is Joe Rybandt. I'm the executive editor at Dynamite Entertainment, and I am here to talk about The Boys. Big shock. Welcome to the first day of summer. It is a beautiful morning here in Chester County, Pennsylvania. I have been up before the sun, up before my alarm. I am recording this before the beginning of the technical workday. It may go well. I think it'll go okay. I have some things prepared, so when I look down, those are notes because I've got a lot of facts to throw at you. When president and publisher Nick Barucci asked to put something together talking about the differences between the show The Boys on Amazon Prime and the comic book series that we published, one of the things that I thought about, because there are a lot of differences, and there obviously were going to always be differences between the source material and when people make a movie or people make a TV show or people translate things into a different medium. But the tone and the spirit are there. I think everybody would agree. You know, the show is certainly well loved. The comic series was well loved. So I think in that respect, they both exist in their own worlds, and they've both done a good job of complementing each other. Obviously, the comic came first, and that's what inspired and fueled excuse me, the TV series. But one of the things that I had noticed in season one or season two, I think it was in both, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm probably not going to be reading the comments. But every episode had a title from the series. So what I did was for season three, I've been watching it since it started. I guess it's on week 4 or 5 now. I took a look at those titles and then went back to the actual scripts and to the actual comics themselves and put together some notes about what the originations of some of the things that are in that titling means to the actual comic and how that might relate to the actual show. And we'll get to that in just a minute. I thank you for your patience as I ramble on here. Just back from a very nice Father's Day weekend with my wife's family in the suburbs of Annapolis, Maryland. And the reason I mention that is because I got a chance to visit one of my favorite stores down there, which is Third Eye Comics. They had a nice boys display of the 6 softcover omnibuses, and those are the current versions of the series, excepting the hardcover omnibuses, omnibuses, do what you want, which are shipping soon. I believe I just saw some email from our warehouse in suburban New Jersey that mentioned receiving them, which means that our distributor has them, which means they should be making their way to comic shops soon. We're also finalizing printing on the Dear Becky hardcover. We had released that series during the pandemic. It was a mini-series, an addendum, a coda to the Boys comic book series. And then the Boys script book, where we took selected scripts that Garth picked and put them together, printed them in a nice new collection so you can actually see the process. And that's one of the things that I'm doing here is taking a look back at the scripts, which go back, looking back, the first episode I'm going to talk about goes back, first appearance of Boys number 7, and that was in March 2007. I'm not great at math, but that seems like it was 1,000 years ago. A couple quick things up top, and I'm sure there'll be links down below. We currently have a Humble Bundle featuring the Boys. If you've never read the series, odds are you have, but if you want digital copies or if you just want to do something that feels good, that Humble Bundle supports the World Central Kitchen. And what they are is a nonprofit organization addressing food insecurity during and after natural disasters and humanitarian crises, while also operating long-term programs aimed at improving livelihoods by strengthening local food ecosystems. They're doing good work, and supporting that Humble Bundle supports them. So go over there. We also have 2 crowdfunding things, one on Kickstarter, one on Indiegogo, for all this Boys stuff, including these new hardcovers. So if you haven't picked them up from your local comic shop, We always encourage everyone to support their local comic shop, but if you haven't picked them up, you can go over to either Kickstarter or Indiegogo and check those out. And again, those links should be below. Somebody else is going to have to put those in there. I don't even have our YouTube password, nor do I want it. So let's talk about season 3. It's kind of cool. It's cool. No, I'll say it's cool that they're dropping them 1 week at a time. Binge watching is fun. I just binged most of Stranger Things season 8,000 or whatever season that was. And that was fun. Watched it with the kids. They enjoyed it. Didn't watch it all. When I say binge, I mean more than one episode. I do a thing where I break an episode. I watch an episode and then break the next episode in half, because watching 3 or 4 straight hours of TV isn't the way I prefer to do it. Some people do. Younger people do. I know that. Anyway, so season 3, episode 1, that was called Payback. And that's obviously the name of the super team. So while I don't remember, that was a story title. And their first appearance was in Boys Number 7. And again, I mentioned that was from March of 2007, 1,000 years ago. Payback is obviously a parody of the Avengers, although I think that there's a little bit more of everything in there. I saw Tech Knight being described as kind of a riff on Iron Man, but he's obviously got some Batman in there. It's kind of a combo platter on that one. And in the comics, the team consists of Tech Knight, Stormfront, Soldier Boy, Swatto, Crimson Countess, and Eagle the Archer. In the show, one of the differences, it consists of Tech Knight, Stormfront, and Eagle the Archer, at this point, does not appear to have any affiliation with Payback. So, and here's a little quick inside baseball from the actual script of Boys Number 7. And for those that don't know, The Boys was originally published by Wildstorm Comics for the first 6 issues. There were some creative differences between the publisher and the creators were given the property, the title, the first 6 issues, and the blessing to go and seek a new publisher, which they did, and that was us. And that was where we came on board with Boys Number 7. So we didn't publish the first 6 issues. We published the first collection of the first 6 issues, but we took over the actual periodicals with Boys 7 and up, and here we are all these years later. But from the script of Boys Number 7, flashback, Tech Knight and 3 other soups soaring high above New Jersey. He's at the rear of a loose diamond formation. The others are Mindroid, a telepathic robot whose design is up to you. Garth is speaking to the artist there, which would be Derek. Buzzboy got up to look like a human fly. Garth means dressed up to look like a human fly. And Stormfront, a tall, blonde god of Aryan origin with short cropped hair and bright blue eyes. Black and red uniform, jackboots, slight Third Reich influence. Stormfront will later play a major role as an escaped Nazi war criminal. Generally, Payback, the group, have a kind of 60s updated to 80s vibe about them. Stormfront is in the lead. And that's our intro to Payback in the comic book series. And obviously, we're seeing them in the show. Episode 1 called Payback. No more need be said there. Now, this one, episode 2, threw me off a little bit because it's called... The Amazon show, the episode, is called The Only Man in the Sky. And I could not recall a storyline or a single issue that was called that. So doing a quick search of my scripts came up with, it's a line from issue number 47 of The Boys. And that is from March 2010. And I think the reason I mention it here is it has... it's a great Homelander moment in the comic, and obviously Homelander is center stage of season 3, probably arguably been center stage of season 1 and 2. The big bad guy, what's he going to do? What's going on? He's terrible. So fun to watch, though. So from that script, and this is where that line comes from. So from that script, panel 1, Mom and Dad turn to each other in horror and confusion nearest. The Homelander shrugs. And he says, you may as well have burned your money. Panel 2, close up on his hands letting go of the back of the car. Off panel from Homelander, the only man in the sky is me. And then also off panel, a shriek of no. So he's doing a terrible thing there. If you've read the issue, It's a great Homelander moment. Nice use of his line there for the episode, but without the context of what he's saying and how he's saying it, and the really nice way that Garth put it here. Missing a little bit if you don't know that little extra piece, or you can enjoy it as it is. I mean, I'm not judging. I'm just here to help. Episode 3 is titled Barbary Coast. Now, this was a storyline that ran from issues 52 through 55. Issue 52. When I mention these dates, by the way, these are the dates of the scripts. I don't remember the actual in-store dates of the issues I might be speaking of. So I'm giving you the context of the script. When Garth wrote the script, sent it to me, and then it went to the artist. That was roughly August of 2010. So that's less than 1,000 years ago. I can do this math. That's 22 years ago, right? Yeah. Let me know in the comments. So when we solicited issue 52, we said, as a publisher, beginning to our distributor, then to our comic shops, and then to our fans, beginning the 4-part Barbary Coast, Huey travels out west to finally meet Lieutenant Colonel Greg Mallory, the man who started, there's a key difference, the man who started the boys. All kinds of secrets await our hero, beginning with the terrible story of the first soups to see action in World War II. When the revolution cease, will Huey return or walk away from the team forever? And we're seeing that in the current storyline. We're seeing the flashback. Now, in the comic, Garth sets up the original Payback being based, and Mallory being based in the action of World War II. I had thought when I was watching the episode without doing any research, I thought maybe they were doing Vietnam, and again, I wasn't paying 100% attention. It's actually Nicaragua. So what you have going on there is not a explicitly military action, but a CIA-backed, funding rebels kind of thing. I'm not an expert on Nicaragua, so I'm not even I probably shouldn't have even said that. I'm going to get this thing flagged. They're going to be knocking on the door. It's going to be a whole thing. Although I think everybody's probably over Nicaragua at this point. But the moment in the show where Mallory, now a female, meets Payback was a great moment on the show. And here's the moment from the script, which describes the characters at the time. And there are differences between what the show is showing and what the World War II iteration of these characters would be, obviously with all the time difference. So this is from the script. Standing in the tent, some facing us, some turning to do so, are 7 superheroes. They're the original version of Payback, so appear in old-fashioned or golden age takes on the costumes we're used to now. They regard us silently, almost emotionlessly. Note that none of the characters are the same actual people from the recent Payback. They're whoever got put in the suits in 1944. There is Manbot, modern-day Mind Droid. Has a pretty clanky looking costume, but the same colors. Should be clear, he's a guy in a suit, not a robot. The Crimson Countess has a 40s movie star look, kind of vampy rather than good girl. The Buzzer, modern-day Swatto, is got up like a not very convincing human fly. Human fly here. Eagle the Archer is a new guy, a Hawkman type with big feathered wings folded on his back, beaked helmet, and a longbow across his chest with a quiver of arrows on his belt. Soldier Boy is obvious, all stars and stripes, big shield. The Steel Knight, modern day Tech Knight, is an early take on the Batman-Iron Man combo that his eventual descendant was. Ladio, his sidekick, is similarly a 40s version of Robin meets Bucky. Notable by his absence is Stormfront. The rest are pretty impressive physically, though they lack the sculpted look of the modern workout fanatic. And they all, of course, look completely fucking ridiculous, which I think is, Garth waited until the end of describing them to give his true thoughts there on what the take should be. And that's his take. What I don't remember at the time if I knew, I didn't know Garth as well in the early days of publishing The Boys as I do now. But I may or may not have looked up or known what Barbary Coast is, or in reference to at the time. And its inclusion here, and this is my supposition. I didn't consult with Garth for this podcast because I don't think he would be interested in being consulted with for this podcast. No disrespect intended, but just, he's got other stuff to do. But I looked up Barbary Coast, the meaning of Barbary Coast, and it was the first military land action overseas by the United States was executed by the U.S. Marines and the U.S. Navy in 1805 at the Battle of Derna, Tripoli, a coastal town now in eastern Libya, in April 1805. It formed part of an effort to destroy all Barbary pirates, to reclaim American slaves in captivity, and end piracy acts between the warring tribes on the part of the Barbary states, which were themselves member states of the Ottoman Empire. All this is forever ago in the past. A lot of these things don't even exist anymore. The opening lines, here's the key, I think. The opening line of the Marine's hymn refers to this action. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. It was the first time that the U.S. Marine Corps took part in offensive actions outside the United States. So I think that was probably the impetus for naming that storyline Barbary Coast. Throw a little nod to the Marines, to the past, World War II. This isn't directly related to World War II, but obviously Marines playing a large role in World War II. Now here we get to the two most recent episodes. And, episode 4 of the current series was called Glorious 5-Year Plan. And I'll get to that in a minute. And I really thought we were going to see, and maybe I missed them. I don't think I did. I haven't rewatched the episodes. I didn't do a lot of research for this. No, actually, I did a lot of research, but I did a lot of research on the comic book side. But I really thought we were going to see them. You'll probably know who I'm talking about. So the next couple of things that I pulled out here relate to the person that we haven't seen yet. I think we're going to see, because I think I saw that he's going to be in it. But I just remember internally when this stuff was going on, when these books were coming in, when the scripts were coming in, when the art was coming in, it was Christmas. I know that's a cliche, but it was like, oh my God, what? Because each thing got so more amped up, ridiculous, crazy. And this was a moment that had everybody that was associated with the book enjoying the book to the nth degree. So Glorious 5-Year Plan is early boys stuff. It was boys 11 through 14, boys 11, 2007. So that first year of us publishing it. And we described it thusly, saying the boys travel to Moscow, where the local soups are falling foul of a mysterious and violent enemy. An old ally awaits our heroes in the former Soviet Union, and with the brutal Russian mafia involved, they'll need all the help they can get in part 1 of our 4-part Glorious 5-Year Plan. Now, the show deviates. They're not in Russia for very long. They're actually, I think in the comic book, this storyline, they were there longer, but it was really in the show of a quick trip over. And I know there's going to be ramifications. There's going to be more stuff coming because obviously there's going to be this character coming. But about Love Sausage. Love Sausage. What a great name. I mean, come on, right there. Vasily, Vas. I'm not Russian, so I might butcher it. No, Voroshinkin used to be part of the Glorious 5-Year Plan. The Glorious 5-Year Plan was a team of 5 government-owned superheroes that also included the Tractor, Purge, Red Banner, and Collectivo in the days of the Soviet Union. Here's something from the script which describes the super team Glorious 5-Year Plan. Big on the photo in hand, 5 soups posing proudly for the camera with the grinning Vas at the back. In better shape, 30, full head of hair, in some kind of white spandex suit. Because he's so big, he stands behind them, arms stretched out with hands on the shoulders of the outer 2. We don't see him below the chest. Left to right, the Tractor, a guy with huge tractor wheels fixed to him. One on each side secured at ankle and shoulder, same height as he is. Purge, a weird, squat-looking little berserker type with a hammer in one hand and sickle in the other. Red Banner, a beautiful woman trapped in a flowing, ragged red flag. And Collectivo, naked from the waist up, holding a long, shafted spade. All smiling proudly, except Red Banner, who seems a little sad. Off panel. We fought for workers, for comrades. The Tractor, Purge, Red Banner, Collectivo. And there I am at back. Love sausage. Panel 3, Voss gazes at the photo, far away. Huey glances warily at Butcher, who stays cool. Voss says, days of wonder, little Huey, days of wonder. Huey says, love sausage? Butcher says, tell you later. Glorious. The reveal. Oh my God. If they come anywhere near close to the comic book reveal of Love Sausage on the show, glorious. So the most recent episode is called on the show, and this is another deviation where the line doesn't relate directly to the action of the episode, but I think does more to inform what's underlying in the show. Again, just my pure conjecture. You could call it professional opinion. You can put professional in quotes if you want. I don't take offense. But that line is from Butcher number 4. And Butcher was a mini-series that we did exploring Butcher. Now, that's from May of 2010. And I pulled this bit from that script because it informs where the comic went, which is obviously a big difference in where the show went with Becky and with Butcher and with all the things between them and the Homelander and all that. But here's a nice little bit of horror from Garth on page 18 of that script, which was a splash page. View past him as he freezes. We don't see his face. There's blood on the walls and bed and indeterminate matter, guts, that we can't make out on the bed too. All we see of Becky is one leg stretched across the side of the bed where she's fallen onto the floor. The lamp isn't very powerful, but what it clearly shows is a human fetus hovering in the air facing Butcher, umbilical cord hanging from its belly down to where Becky would be. Blood slides from its dark red, slime-slick skin. Its eyes steam with red vapor, just like the Homelander's heat vision. It's been born at what would normally be the 4-month mark, so it has features and limbs and even digits. But there's obviously something badly misshapen about it. Far too big, 10 inches tall, belly unnaturally misshapen. It should, of course, look absolutely horrific. And it absolutely did. It sounds horrific. I don't even need a picture. It's terrible. I'm going to have a nightmare tonight. So that was more, that's from the Butcher series, but I think more, again, talking about a difference between where the show went, where the comic went, choices made. That's a cool moment from the comic. Again, if you haven't checked it out, well worth your time to give that a read. You can read all these. You can read all the minis, I think, on their own. Obviously, the whole series gives everything, but the minis did a nice job of working on their own, kind of the way things used to be when you'd have a mini series thrown off on the side, from a moment in the series that wasn't shown, and then you take that moment and you expand it out into a mini. Good stuff. We did a nice job with this, I think, and if I can say so myself. The other big thing in this last episode was the first look at the Legend. And he is very different from the comic book version. I'm going to talk at you, mention to you, read at you Garth's description of the Legend who first appeared in Boys Number 7. So again, we got a lot of early stuff here going on the show. So we're on season 3, but they're still pulling from some very early stuff in the comic book run. And I thought Paul Reiser was excellently cast. He is very different. He's got a different vibe than the comic book version. But when I saw him, and I hadn't followed who was going to be who. I don't know if they had announced that Paul Reiser was on the show and he was, it was speculated he was going to be the Legend. They're playing it differently, but Reiser's great. I mentioned Stranger Things earlier. He's back in this most recent season. I don't think that's a spoiler alert, because I think if you were going to watch Stranger Things, you would have seen it by now, the most recent season. He did a show called Red Oaks or Red Oak, I forget which, but it was very good. I think that was on Amazon in the early days of streaming, before everybody was crazy about streaming. He's a great actor. I never watched Mad About You, but I'm sure he was great on that. He's great in Aliens, a movie I grow less and less fond of over time for some reason. I prefer I don't grow less and less fond of the original Alien, but the sequel I just don't think has aged very well. That's just me. Again, you can put a note in the comments about that, but I probably won't see it. So let's go back to boys number 7. Check my time here. Let's go back to boys number. This is exhausting. Oh my God. Hang on. I gotta take a drink of water. And it's just water. I know it's a solo cup. I have this in the back. Sometimes this is sitting over here, and so I'll be on a Zoom or something, and I'll think, do people think there's a beer in there, or like a gin and tonic, or like wine? I mean, I hope they don't think that. They might think that, but it's just water. I use 1 solo cup a week for my water when working from home. Rinsed out, clean it, reuse it. Could use a glass, but I don't know. Glass up here, might drop it, break it. I don't know. Anyway, more than you need to know. A little glimpse behind the curtain. All right, where was I? Okay, boys number 7. This is how Garth describes, and I don't think they could have done the legend from the comics quite as we did it. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But this is how it is described. He's described. Big. Our first proper view of the legend. Barely 5 foot tall with a large, shiny, bald head and the best Hitler mustache seen anywhere on the planet since 1945. Face in a permanently screwed up grimace. Cigar clamped in his permanently gritted teeth. Eyes glaring from behind his glasses. Bow tie, pants, usually held up by braces, you might say suspenders. Couple of pens and an ink stain in his shirt pocket. A sprightly 80. Oh, I was going to pull some dialogue, but I didn't know that I wanted to read it. I mean, if we were doing a one-on-one, we were sitting in a bar and I was reading, not a bar. It doesn't always have to be a bar. What's with the bar? Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. If you've read the series, you know what the legend is all about. If you haven't read the series, maybe worth it just for that. Maybe you take nothing else away from it except all that great stuff that Garth wrote using the legend. But I wanted to, because again, when I put these notes together and I'd watched episode 5 of the show, I thought, oh my God, where's Love Sausage? Really? Another 2, he's not here, and they're not, and they're back from Russia. So how's this going to work? I think he's going to be in here. So this is from, let's see. Oh yes. So this is from issue 13, and again, this goes back to the tail end, or the middle part, the penultimate, I think, episode of Glorious 5-Year Plan. Page 21, panel 1. Terror watches as Huey pulls a blanket over Butcher. He's lined the 4 of them up on the floor, put each of them in the recovery position, and put blankets over them with pillows under their heads for support. Door further back, closed. Huey says, "How's that, Terror? Does that look like the recovery position to you?" Terror obviously doesn't speak. It's dog. Huey continues, "You'd better stay here with them and be a dog or whatever." From the door, panel from the door, line from the door. Not from the door, but OP balloon, off-panel balloon, coming from the door. "Is much ass to be kicked, I think?" Panel 2. Huey wanders over to the door, unscrewing the top from the vodka bottle, uncertain. Huey says, "So how do you think we should handle it all, Voss?" Obviously talking to Voss, but Voss isn't shown yet. Another off-panel balloon. "Must find crazy bitch little Nina. She sets soups loose without way to stop. All Moscow takes it up poop shoot." Panel 3. Huey has a tentative sip of vodka, knows what to expect now, nose wrinkling with distaste. Huey says, "Jesus." Continuing off panel, and there's a reason all this is off panel. Greatest reveal, my God. It's glorious. But moment has come to not fuck around. When Rodinu is threatened, Vasily Voroshinkin is not enough. Never thought would put this on again, but now, panel 4. View past the door as it opens. Huey turns to see us and freezes. Goddamn right he does. Continuing off panel is Titanic team up, yes? Together for first time ever? Panel 5. Closer on Huey, jaw dropping. His eyes flick downward, widening at what they see. Continuing off panel is little Huey. Page 22. It's a splash. One panel, one image. I'm not even looking at it, and it is burned into my brain. I can see it right now. This is how it's described. Voss stands in the doorway, hands on hips in dramatic hero pose, face grim, jaw set. He's wearing his superhero outfit, the one from the photo of Gloria's 5-year plan. He's obviously put on weight since then, so the costume is too tight to cover his hairy belly. Neither can it remotely disguise his enormous 15-inch, the outline of which bulges down his inside leg from crotch almost to knee. Unmistakable, obvious, disturbing. And he has one line, and he says, "And love sausage." I guess I did a little bit of an impression. I can't help it. It's right there. I mean, it's right, everybody could do a Russian, right? All right. Well, hopefully that was enjoyable. Went longer than I thought it was going to. I guess covering 5 episodes, sounds about right. If you like this, or even tolerated it, we'll take tolerate, right? I mean, tolerate. If you didn't hate it, let us know. Hit the like button. I think that's what the kids say. You can subscribe. That'd be great. And I'll try to do another one of these. I think it's probably better to group some episodes together. Better for me. So I don't know how many episodes are in this 3rd season. We're on episode 5 now. So I think I'll be able to group another batch together and do this same thing. And you'll be able to find out about it if you do subscribe, because you'll see a little notification that says there's a new episode. So do that. Check out the Humble Bundle. Check out the Kickstarter. Check out the Indiegogo. If you are on the East Coast in July, Garth and myself will be attending Terrificon, which is in Connecticut. Later this year, we'll be attending a convention in Las Vegas. I think that's in September. We'll be attending Baltimore Comic-Con in October. I think that's it for his convention appearances. He might pop into New York Comic-Con. I don't know. But he may not. But I think that's it for his convention appearances, in the sense of, like, he'll be at a convention, sitting and signing for multiple days. And we will have probably a panel at each one of those, where maybe we talk about some of the things that I talked about here. Maybe we don't. Maybe they're never mentioned again. I don't know. Only time will tell. Probably should have written an ending, because I'm trying to wind it down, and it might just be a, hey, that's it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a, hey, that's it. But thanks for watching.